Hi, welcome to Ladies of Another View on Back, and it's the three amigos today, Jan and Andrea, and I'm Patty. And lately, we've been having some wonderful guests that are really cultural warriors.
Big time.
Yeah,
We had Dr. Michael Rechtenwald.
right.
We learned all about cancel culture and some of the things that are happening around college campuses, something we get to touch on today.
Right. And yesterday, we had Paul Jonah on, who was defending David Daleiden against Planned Parenthood. Yes, and so today we have Dr. Mark Crispin Miller. He is a professor at NYU, and he teaches a class in media awareness. So that's a hot topic for today, right?
Absolutely.
And apparently, the media doesn't want you to be aware. So while we're waiting for him to join us, I'll just give you a little bit of his background. He was talking about, okay, with COVID, let's talk about masks. And he doesn't tell the students what to believe or to think. He tells them, you do your investigation and you figure out what's being said, what's true, what isn't true. And earlier on masks, there was one type of information, one scientific data that was out there. And then later on, it was saying something else. So a student that joined the class late was upset by where this was going. And she filed a complaint with the university against him and wanted him fired. She put out a statement on Twitter, put out a tweet and wanting him fired. And she only had maybe 76 followers, but it went viral. So the powers that be that have an agenda, and his whole goal is that we don't fall prey to agendas, that we can start to look. And like he said with Google, when you do a search, and we have discovered this, when you do a search on Google, they own two pharmaceuticals. Do you think maybe that might affect when we're trying to get information on COVID?
I think it would affect what anybody finds on any search engine. If you have ownership in the thing that somebody's searching, you're going to promote your own things first. Any business would do that. So in that realm, I wouldn't fault them, but the fact that they're dealing with people's lives, you have to kind of check the boxes, I think.
There's nothing all that abnormal about the lesson he was trying to teach either. It's a lesson taught at middle schools and high schools, but usually you're looking way back in history and exposing the propaganda, and you're looking at it saying, what do you see, what story do you see told here, and what was the reality, and how does that compare? He was just using modern current events in order to teach that same lesson at the university level. So for them to come after him, ooh.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Can't you
Right.
teach what is in front of you?
Critical thinking skills are
Critical
a thing of the
thinking.
past.
Do your research. He's saying,
Yes.
do your research. Let's welcome, I know he's here now, Dr. Mark Crispin Miller. We've been talking about you.
I could tell. I just tuned in.
Okay, we put you in our category of heroes, cultural heroes.
Gosh,
We are so glad that you're fighting this fight, and we gave a little bit of the background on what happened. How dare you? You were teaching the students to think for themselves and do their research. What were you thinking?
well, I've been doing this for some 20 years, and the point I just heard one of you make about how it's accepted generally to study past propaganda, right? And usually those studies focus on the Nazis or the Bolsheviks, and students get the sense that we don't do propaganda. But in fact, modern propaganda, whether it's political or commercial, which is advertising, modern propaganda is actually an Anglo-American invention, and it's as American as apple pie. There's really nothing foreign about it or alien about it. It's only the propaganda you don't agree with and don't like that you can recognize as propaganda. The hard part is to recognize the propaganda that you agree with, that you like. And that's why I got into trouble here. At its most effective, propaganda hits us at a very deep level. So in order to study it, you have to make a conscious effort to try to put your own preconceptions and biases aside, that's not easy to do, and dig into the material, dig into the research behind the claim that you're being told is scientifically true, that you're being told is necessary for us to flatten the curve. Do your research and see what you discover, because you may find that something you agreed with fervently in many cases is just not true. And that's what happened to me with the mask issue, because I didn't make any secret of my own feeling that the scientific evidence tells us that the masks are not that effective against respiratory viruses. But I made clear to them that that was not for me to say, and they're not supposed to treat me as an oracle. So to study all the randomized controlled studies that have found over the last 15 years that the masks don't work, but also read all the more recent studies that claim they do work, and then make your best effort to figure out where the truth lies. And I said, with new studies, you should look for scientific reviews, okay, because they're often posted, and take note of the university where the study comes from, and see then if they have any financial ties to Big Pharma or the Gates Foundation. That's just advice for anybody studying propaganda. So I said all this the first week, and then it was a week or two later, a student who joined us late was there for a resumption of that discussion. It came up again, but without all the context of the first class. And she just flipped out and went to Twitter and demanded that I be fired. And then the university essentially took her side. And we've been struggling over this ever since September, because I'm suing my department colleagues for libel, because they wrote a letter to the dean demanding that I be investigated, implying that I should be fired, and accusing me of these preposterous offenses that I have never committed. It's all up on my website at markcrispinmiller.com. And there is a GoFundMe page as well. Just do a search on GoFundMe and my name and libel, and you'll get the background, because it's not just about me. This is about a lot of professors, a lot of journalists, a lot of scientists, a lot of doctors, a lot of whistleblowers, a lot of activists, people who've tried to study the last election. There's just too much censorship. It does not feel like America to me. And I have always identified as somebody on the left. I don't recognize the left anymore. I believe in free speech and free thought, and that's what this is really all about. So I'm grateful for your invitation, let me say.
Well, Dr. Miller, when visiting your section on New York City, and we might have to cover this in the next section, but I saw that people are masked to the max, except for in restaurants. And that doesn't seem like New York City people. They've always come out in numbers, whether it's to rallies or Woodstock or Occupy Wall Street. They've always stood up and against things.
And we need to take a break. But Mark, when we come back, I want you to respond to that. Like the United States and New York City, like what is going on here? We'll be right back with these messages with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after hours oasis of sanity. How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we are once again joined by Dr. Mark Crispin Miller. He is a professor at NYU in media awareness. You picked the wrong topic, Dr. Miller, because I don't think you can't win on this one. And before we went to the break, Jan asked about what is going on in New York City, because it just seems like the whole city is masked, and you live there. What's going on?
It's very dystopian, you know, it's really depressing. I mean, I'm from Chicago originally, but I've been a New Yorker since 1997. And this was a vibrant city, many small businesses. That's the soul of New York City. You know, very diverse, genuinely diverse, not just in terms of color and stuff like that, but people with different opinions, and everybody, there's just like a mass of wary sheep, you know. Everybody's wearing masks. They even have their children in masks, which I can barely look at without getting upset. I can't stand it. There's no scientific or medical justification for it. It's actually more dangerous than beneficial. You know, I've looked deeply into this, and yet everywhere I go in Manhattan, everybody's avoiding everybody else, and nobody has a face. That's just wrong, you know, because this propaganda has really hit people at a very deep level. And I have this listserv every day. I send stuff out to the members of the list as emails, and then it goes up on the website. And people can sign up for those emails at markcrispinmiller.com. and pick the daily digest option as my advice, because that way you'll only get one email a day with all the day's emails in it. I circulated an email from a friend in DC who came here and was just shocked at what he saw. And it's a very, powerful description. Something has gone wrong here, very, very wrong. And I mean, I'm talking to people in the Midwest, right? I get a sense of sympathy and understanding from you. And that's been my experience since this ordeal began, is that people sort of outside the bubble of, the New York Times reading American public, the professional classes, the academics, the journalists, media professionals and so on, and all too many doctors, there's a kind of cult-like feeling here and bizarre authoritarianism, that I would never have expected from the left. And I feel it all around me. And I don't get that sense from people in the so-called red states. I feel
It's
like
so interesting that they waited until this moment to come after you for using current events when discussing propaganda. Have you used current events as an example of propaganda prior to the discussion of masks? Has it been a part of your curriculum?
We always try to do that. But you see, this is different. It's complicated in a way that makes it hard to talk about succinctly, but I'll simply say, I believe that behind the attack on me by these very social justice conscious, colleagues who are genuinely outraged, because I have committed heresies on various subjects, like masks and trans activism, which I have a lot of problems with. I think that behind my colleagues' attack and encouraging that attack is NYU as a corporation. NYU is heavily invested in the vaccine industrial complex. It may be the most pro-vaccine corporate connected university in the country. It used to be Penn, University of Pennsylvania. Now it's NYU. And I therefore think that they want to get rid of any faculty member who is dissenting from that view. Even though, my listserv, I have 3,000 people on it. I'm not Alex Jones. I mean, I don't have a huge audience, but when you're kind of totalitarian minded, you don't want anybody dissenting, and that's, I think, the reason why this is happening to me. The whole institution seems to be coming after me, but it's really the interests at the top, the board of trustees, whose membership you can look up. It's the big money, and they don't want a faculty member who is wary of the vaccine mandate. There's a lot that's really wrong with it and dangerous about it. And I've always believed and continue to believe that the truth will make you free. I think that's key to the maintenance of democracy. That's why I teach media studies. That's why I teach propaganda study, which I think should be taught in every high school and college in the country. I think Thomas Jefferson would agree with that.
So coming from the left originally, Dr. Miller, I'm curious where you are now, but we won't get into that right now. You must have been a little surprised when you got a letter from the dean and there were concerns raised by 25 of your colleagues. And here are some of the accusations: explicit hate speech, mounting attacks on students and others in the community, advocating for an unsafe learning environment, aggressions, microaggressions, and discouraging students from wearing face masks. This must have inflicted a bit of a wound on you to think, what? Like, where's this coming from?
Oh, it was a complete shock. Nobody talked to me. I've not committed any of those sins, What they've done is they've conflated my teaching with a few things I've posted online, a couple of facetious Facebook comments, and a little essay I sent my listserv asking why there was a Sprite commercial featuring a mother breast binding her daughter. Okay, that's the Coca-Cola company. All right. Don't tell me they're interested in inclusion and diversity. So I raised questions about their motives for promoting the trans agenda, and I don't have to get into it with you, but the fact of the matter is I was raising legitimate questions, and it wasn't in the classroom, but my colleagues lumped all this together to make a case against me as this kind of alt-right bully and monster in the classroom who inflicts his crackpot views on these impressionable kids, complete a lie after lie after lie. And I asked them to retract these lies. I wrote them a detailed rebuttal. They ignored my request. I sent it again. They ignored that request. So I am suing 19 of the 25 who signed the letter. I am not suing the junior faculty who signed. They probably felt pressured to sign, maybe not. But the fact is, the tenured people know me. I've been there for a very long time. And this is inexcusable. You can't say things like that about people, right? I take tremendous pride in my teaching. The atmosphere is open and civil. far more tolerant than the atmosphere in their classes, I have to say. Over 50 students have written letters of support for me that are extremely gratifying. And they prove that what my colleagues have constructed as an image of how I teach is slanderous and false and really shocking, to come from, educated people who are supposedly collegial and believers in academic freedom. They are not, okay? They are authoritarians. Everybody has to think exactly what they think, or they will come after you. And I was completely shocked. I didn't even think they knew what I was working on, They never showed any interest in it.
Well, and they probably didn't. They probably didn't know, but then they heard, oh, bad guy here, and then they all just, dogpiled on you. So, Dr. Miller, we're going to follow this story. I hope to have you on soon with better news, because you are making a difference, and you mean so much to people like us and the people that understand what's going on. I hope you support Mark and go to his GoFundMe page, Dr. Mark Crispin Miller. Here's his website, markcrispinmiller.com. And support him any way you can. Pray for him, donate to his cause, because we need people like him to stop this insanity. So coming up next, we're going to have Lieutenant Jeff Olson with the Burleigh County Sheriff's Department to celebrate National Police Week. We'll be right back after these messages with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Pack the house in honor of North Dakota's heroes with Bucks Football Saturday, May 15th, as the Bucks go to battle against the Green Bay Blizzard. Help us honor Gold Star families, wounded warriors, and veterans alike. All veterans and family general admission tickets are free with military ID. Call 701-595-0771 for tickets and more information.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Ever been in a cave before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the car! But how will we? The car! Your offer's been accepted. Ever bought a house before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the closing. But how will we? The closing!
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we're going to switch topics here. We have a guest with us today. Thank you for coming. Lieutenant Jeff Olson with the Burleigh County Sheriff's Department.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you have, I don't know if everybody knows this, but it's National Police Week. So we really, and that began, I think it was in 1962.
1962, President Kennedy
Right.
put it into motion.
And he did it to pay respects to our fallen police officers, right?
Yes, to honor and respect. For May 15th is the actual Memorial Day for officers. And he made it the week for National Police Week to honor, every officer that had fallen in the line of duty.
And the way this originally came across my attention, I saw that you're going to have a special memorial service for Officer Deputy Pekin, George Peepcorn. And it's going to be in Wing at 2 o'clock. And this touched me. It says, George F. Peepcorn, end of watch, November 19th, 1930. Now, even as I say that, I get goosebumps. End of watch, that was the end of his life. And he was watching over us. He was killed in the line of duty. And why is there going to be a memorial for him in Wing on Friday, this Friday, and everybody's welcome at 2 o'clock? Why now?
Well, this has been a couple of years in the making now, but members of our department have taken up an interest. This really started 2011. We had lost Deputy Brian Sleeper from our agency, and we had started doing some research as far as officers from our agency that have been killed in the line of duty, and Deputy Peepcorn was our first one. And we made a memorial bench at the Sheriff's Department, and we put Deputy Peepcorn and Deputy Sleeper's names on the bench to memorialize them. What that did was spurned interest within the department on Deputy Peepcorn because we just didn't have a lot of information that we knew of him. And so several staff through the years have dug and tried to find as much information as possible to try to learn about him and get the story and find out exactly what happened. Obviously, his name is on the law enforcement memorial here in Bismarck, but there just wasn't much known. So I believe about a year ago, one of our deputies was patrolling the area of Wing, stopped and noticed that in the Wing Cemetery, Deputy Peepcorn is buried there, noticed that his headstone was damaged, and you couldn't make out the name, and none of that sat well with any of us from the agency because we believe in remembering and honoring, especially those that have fallen in the line of duty. So the deputy passed that information on. He did some more research on his own, was able to find some old newspaper clippings from the 1930s and just more information. He sent it out to the department. And now that has, taken on more of an impact within our department because everybody's starting to become familiar with the name Peepcorn and the story on what happened. And what we've done is raised money through First Western Bank and Trust. They donated a new headstone, and we actually went out and replaced it. And we've been working with family, contacting family from California, Texas, and wherever we've been able to find them. And they've kind of just been popping up more recently. It's been kind of an interesting thing because we've heard little snippets and stories that they had heard as they were growing up from Peepcorn's life.
Wow.
Amazing.
Well, I did a little research myself, and it's very touching because he was 36 when he died, and he was stabbed to death while trying to arrest a suspect during a domestic abuse situation, domestic violence, and I know those are very dangerous, aren't they, for officers? And he left a wife and 4 children. And so, he was just a regular guy doing his job, trying to protect us, and he lost his life in the line of duty. Because domestic abuse situations, are those the most dangerous situations an officer can go into?
They're the most unpredictable that an officer can go into because you just don't have that information going into a call. And Deputy Peepcorn responded to a domestic situation. It was a dispute between he and his son.
Okay.
But yeah, domestic violence situations are definitely the most unpredictable. That's how we lost Steve Kenner in 2011 was a domestic violence situation.
And so domestic violence situation is not necessarily a husband and wife. That's usually what we think of. But yeah, I guess when you get families together and tempers can rise pretty quickly and be pretty unpredictable. How many officers have we lost in North Dakota? He was the first one, right? Peepcorn?
No, he wasn't
he
the
wasn't?
first
Okay.
officer lost in North Dakota. We've got, I believe, 58 officers lost in the state of North Dakota. That's recorded anyway. We've lost one just as recently as last year, 2020, with Cody Holte out of Grand Forks.
That's right, right. And it must be so tough for all officers when they hear that news. It's not just something that you see in the news, just a random death. It's like, wow, it could be any one of you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It hits home. We see the officers daily through Officer Down Memorial and stuff like that that are killed in the line of duty almost daily. Unfortunately, 124 officers already this year. But when it hits close to home it impacts everybody.
So in addition to these heavy things that happen in your industry, there's things to celebrate as well. You had a graduation last year.
I did.
And can you explain to the viewers what it was and how that impacts us in our communities?
Sure. I graduated from the FBI National Academy, the 279th session. I am one of 3 in our department that has been able to attend that. It was a huge opportunity for me to be able to go to professionally. I was nominated by Sheriff Lieben, and he came to my graduation and represented the department there. It's building networks throughout the community, throughout the nation, really. You're getting to know other agencies, learn from other agencies, learn from other people, tactics, techniques, similar situations that you go through as a law enforcement agency. So now if we're looking for policy changes or anything like that, what I have been able to do is reach out to other people throughout the country.
Oh, wow.
So
that's a big connection.
Right, yeah. And I bet that's very supportive too, that you're not just operating in a bubble here in North Dakota. And how long did it take you to get through the National Academy, the FBI Academy?
it was about 3 months.
3 months, okay.
Yep.
And did you go there, and how many people attend at any one time?
Oh, I believe there was 240 people that attended my graduating class.
And
Now,
you were the only one in North Dakota, right? So
Yes, I was the only
Yeah.
one from North Dakota. We only have so many seats that are selected each session from each state. So I was the only one from North Dakota that went. We had a couple from Minnesota, which we've kept contact daily. So
And that was last year, and things were just heating up quite a bit in a lot of ways, right?
Yes.
Following your graduation, then we had the summer of rioting, and things were pretty quiet here in North Dakota. I bet you were thankful for that.
I was, yeah. We graduated in March, so mid-March, and I came home, and I took a couple of days off just to kind of get reacquainted back home. And then the pandemic hit, and it's been kind of a blur since.
I don't know that.
Right, for all of us.
Yeah. I was just
but,
gonna say that.
Yeah.
For the world.
Yeah, we're still not over it yet, are we? But we're gonna talk some more about. I have a little video clip of an officer I think that's gonna touch everybody, and we'll talk some more about what it's like to be connected with the FBI and what kind of crimes we have in North Dakota when we come back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Hop in the rig and go down the road with me. We'll cover local and national stories that impact you. What happens with national debt? Does anybody even care anymore? Do you think Governor Burgum truly understands the legislative process?
I think he's got a better understanding now than he did 2 years ago.
Why in the world are we having a conversation about being anti-vaccination? Down the road with Joel Heitkamp weekdays at 5:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we are once again joined by Lieutenant Jeff Olson with the Burleigh County Sheriff's Department. And he's FBI trained, so we all had to be fingerprinted before we started the show today. And I hope the background passes, the background checks pass. But yeah, if not, oh well, we won't have you on again. But I want to show now this is a little bit sad. And I don't want to depress people, but I want people to understand that you could be doing something fun and easy and getting a cat out of a tree 1 minute, and the next minute your life could be at stake. And here's a story of what happened to a fallen officer.
36-year-old officer Jeremy Henwood ordering his fast food dinner inside a City Heights McDonald's. It's seemingly ordinary surveillance video except for what happens next. Watch as the officer is approached by a young boy.
I was looking around like, how am I do this? How am I going to do this? And then I went up to him and just asked him.
13-year-old Davian Tinsley needed 10 cents.
I just seen him, a tall officer. He looks pretty nice.
So he approached the officer and asked him, to which Henwood replied,
"What is the money for?" And I said, "Cookies." And then he said, "Okay, I'll buy them for you."
The video carries the haunting reality of a nightmare waiting literally around the corner. Officer Henwood was shot and killed by a shotgun blast, the McDonald's bag unopened in the back seat.
Wow, that's amazing, huh?
Today, Davian and his dad watched the video for the first time, their eyes glued to a scene they'll never forget.
Character is what you doing when nobody's around with yourself, how you acting when nobody's around.
Friends of Henwood say this final act of kindness caught on tape is how he lived.
He was like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "An NBA star." He said, "That takes hard work." He tells me to work hard, I'm going to work hard.
Jerry Tinsley aims to make sure his son follows through on that promise.
We all have role models, and I'm going to make this officer, this fallen soldier, out of his role model. You know, every day he go to school, he going to remember his fallen officer because he was the last person who talked to this man.
A man who served his country and community until the day he died. The proof is on video and in the untold future of a 13-year-old boy.
So that is so sad, but his last act of kindness before he went out and got killed, his McDonald's bag wasn't even opened. That boy is going to remember that officer forever, and he wants to live up to him as a role model. So, you know, I just want to thank you for your service and for all officers' service. And you have to be ready for anything, right?
Yeah, you do. You do.
And when you went through the training and you came back home, and some of your colleagues had to deal with rioting, and there were some officers that did get killed. And what happened in Bismarck during that time? Because we didn't have any riots, but you still had to be ready, right?
Yeah, we had peaceful protests and stuff like that, and thankfully our community has supported us, immensely over the years, and so the rioting and stuff like that, obviously we're prepared, but we haven't had to, again, thankfully had to deal with it a whole lot. We've had, peaceful demonstrations and peaceful protests and walks and marches and stuff like that.
But you got some experience a few years back when the DAPL protests were happening, because
Yes.
they didn't just happen on that site. They moved into the communities up here.
They did, yeah. We were in, I think for myself alone, I was in Bismarck during DAPL. I was in Mandan, in Morton County, kind of all over the place, moving where they were moving to. So, and it was just trying to keep things peaceful and trying to respond appropriately to what was going on at the time.
I know that a lot of people have gone home since that time, because we know that a good portion of the people were not from this area, so you haven't had to deal with the same kind of people here. But even local businesses, some of them were vandalized. We kind of got hit on the reviews on Google, and just a few minutes ago on the break I got an update from Google saying we don't think that any of these bad reviews violate our community standards, or whatever their little bit of propaganda is. And I've been fighting that since the DAPL protests. People would go in and they'd be from Georgia or Indianapolis or Idaho, and would try to leave negative reviews in order to bring your ratings down. And that's almost as disrupting as having someone show up at your door.
Well, I know there was a lot of propaganda, because I heard from people that I was connected with on Facebook, like, what's going on in North Dakota? And they accused us of a lot of different things. And when we had Kelly Lieben on before, Sheriff Lieben, he said that that was something that they didn't have to deal with before, was propaganda. This is a new thing. And did you feel the effects of that at all?
Yeah, definitely. And they put out multiple things, that they knew where officers were living, and that they were going to come to homes, and different propaganda throughout the whole event, really. So it was kind of scary.
Did they not, some of them actually follow officers from the station, like where they checked out and they were going to their personal residence?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
totally frightening, because then it's not just the officer whose life is in jeopardy, then it's your family.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we had threats one night that, our homes were going to be burned, and, and then nobody wants to deal with that. So, we're just trying to go out and do our jobs and be as professional
Right.
as we can be in the situation, and, it's just uncomfortable.
You were just trying to keep people safe, and for some reason that made a lot of people angry.
Yeah.
You've got the memorial for Officer Peepcorn coming up. There's a memorial for statewide for officers, right?
Yes.
And on the announcement for Peepcorn, it says end of watch. Can you explain why they use that terminology?
So the end of watch terminology is that's that officers, we use it for fallen officers because that's their last day on the watch. Because even when you're not on duty as a law enforcement officer, you're always on the watch. You're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to make sure everybody's safe. And I think it's bred into all of us, when you work the job for a while, that's your main goal, is to make sure people are safe. When somebody dies in the line of duty, that is the end of their watch, and the survivors will take it from there. So.
And what kind of crimes? North Dakota has changed. I've been here for 31 years, and it seems to me that the crime rate is a little different. You've been on the force for what, 20 years?
No, I've been on with Burleigh County for 12 years.
12 years. And so have you seen any changes in those last 12 years?
Yeah, the biggest change I see now is really the drug trend. The drug trend in North Dakota, it's unbelievable. When I started, it was meth, it was marijuana and stuff like that. But what we're seeing now is heroin, a lot of overdoses. I think that's the biggest change that I've seen. More violent crimes, and I think it has to do a lot with the drugs and the mental health and stuff like that that's going on in the community. So.
And how can regular citizens help you? Like, what would you want to say to people to make your job easier?
Don't do drugs. I mean, it's easy to say,
don't
but
commit crimes.
just
don't
stay
do
away
drugs.
from that. Report things if you have concerns. You know, law enforcement needs to know so we can follow up to try to keep everybody safe. But really, there's so many overdoses and drug-related crimes right now that, you know, it's hard to keep up. You know, I know we do our best and try to make the difference.
So do you have more officers now than you did 12 years ago?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think out of our 4 local agencies, Bismarck, Burley, Morton, and Mandan, we've all grown quite a bit.
So do they have it like one officer per so much in population? How do they choose how many to put on staff?
Well, really it's call load and, you know, seeing trends in the area and shifting resources to, you know, high crime areas. So I really can't give you a number like that, but what I can tell you is, you know, we have enough officers to cover certain areas, and like I said, we shift to high crime areas and work these high crime areas.
Sense.
Right, and we know from like the DAPL protests that you kind of shared and people backed each other up. And
Yep.
So I want to remind people that this Friday in Wing at 2 o'clock, we have the memorial service for Deputy George Peepcorn. And there'll be a new, he has a new gravestone, right? And I imagine there'll be a little ceremony to go with it, right? And the public is welcome.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody that wants to attend is more than welcome to come.
All right, well, thank you so much, Lieutenant Olson, for coming on today. And maybe we'll have you on again. There's always something happening, but we like the good news the best.
Sounds great.
So we'll be right back with Ladies of Another View for the lighter side.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with 1 truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks!
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after hours oasis of sanity.
How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. Here we are into the lighter side already. It always goes fast. Yep. And we like to end on the lighter side because, you know, our topics aren't always light, are they?
It's true. We get in deep sometimes.
Yeah, but I think it's better to deal with them head on than to be running in the other direction and acting like they're not happening. And even in our heavy subjects, you know, we find people that are courageous, that are making a difference. And so in that way, it might be a heavy topic, but I find
encouraging
it uplifting
as well. Yes.
Yep, definitely encouraging. Now this story, going along with the fact that it's National Police Week, I found a story for the lighter side that really is light. Take a look.
It was 10 years ago, and Jocelyn James was lost, shooting up IV drugs 16 times a day, thefts, break-ins, arrests. Her life was all but over.
Lost my car, lost my job, lost my license, lost my self-respect, you know, and I never lost my kids. I should have.
The Alabama police officer from Phil Campbell, Alabama, was there to arrest her time and time again. To jail she went, where halfway through her 6-month stay in 2013, Jocelyn James had had enough.
But I literally asked God to please take that urge away from me. And on March 18th, he delivered me. And I promise you, I've not thought about getting high since.
It was last December, and the newly retired police officer's kidney was failing. Functioning at 5%, Terrell Potter was facing an 8-year wait for a kidney.
I said, well, I just don't feel like I'll have to wait that long. You know, I feel like that there's something out there before then.
Or someone like Jocelyn James, laying in bed, scrolling through Facebook, recognizing the former police officer who years ago had sent her to jail.
The Holy Spirit told me, you got that man's kidney. Like I knew right then that I had his kidney.
And so to Vanderbilt Hospital they went, a perfect match. And just over 6 weeks ago, a life was extended, another life blessed.
It's very humbling to have somebody that would give you a part of their body to extend your life.
I don't have a father figure in my life, so I just think it's pretty awesome.
I feel like she's one of my girls. You know, I had 2 daughters, and I feel like she's just one of them, you know.
I love him, and I love his wife and his daughter, and it's so unexplainable. Like you can't explain it.
7 years after she hit rock bottom, years after the police officer threw her in jail, Jocelyn James is in a good.
That is amazing. Oh, what a great
Isn't
story.
it?
I love it.
So who can talk?
Trying.
Yeah. Like, what an incredible story. He arrested her multiple times. How easy would it be? Like, what is wrong with this person? But instead, an amazing, look what God did.
What a great plan.
Saved 2 lives.
What a great plan. Oh, it's beautiful to see how God weaves things together and connects people and changes lives.
In ways we never could have imagined.
No, who would have guessed?
Yeah. When she was at rock bottom, you would have thought, you know, what is wrong with her? You wouldn't have thought of her as a deserving person in a lot of ways. And she hated that officer who kept arresting her. And oh my gosh, really, they saved each other's lives.
Well, just like we keep saying over and over on this show, everything is either a blessing or a curse.
Right.
And sometimes it's both.
Right.
She had to hit rock bottom before she saw that there was a way up. And when she had the opportunity, she took that chance to say thank you, and that was the way she did it. It was amazing.
And he's like a daughter to her. Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
And she needed a father. You know, and
All
so,
lines up.
Yeah, it's
perfectly.
You know, we can't always do it on our own.
Most
well, we
times
can never do it on our own. What am I saying? Sometimes. Like, right.
And
Yeah.
every time we try, we stumble. So it's a good thing that we have that backup.
Right, yeah, and that anything is possible, and the things that we never could have imagined, like we wouldn't have written that story.
No, but in any one person's suffering, the lesson might not be to the sufferer, it might be to someone that they touch, and that was exactly the case in this story.
And I find, you know, because I'm a writer and I do a lot of inspiring stories, it just seems like things happen when you just say, okay, God, here's my life, help me. You decide what my day looks like today and put me in the lives of other people. I'm not kidding. Sometimes even if you're going on a plane or like, God, you decide who I sit next to and direct our conversation, you will be amazed what happens.
I think that's great. We should all take his advice on a constant basis. I think we'd all do better if we did.
Absolutely.
Right. So, yeah, well, thank you for joining us today because we covered a lot of territory. We covered from propaganda and media awareness to law enforcement to a happy story where we all agree, like, put yourself in God's hands and wait for the surprises because they'll come.
Now let's all go out and be thankful for the sunshine.
Absolutely.
A beautiful day.
And we'll see you tomorrow with Ladies of Another View on Beck.